Hi everyone, this is Xgen Art Channel, and today I'm going to record an amazing interview with amazing, fantastic and talented artist who is Layla Viscu. Layla is a 3D character artist. She works with animation, she worked on projects from Pixar, and she also an official Zbrush Live Streamer. And I know Layla for a couple of years, and only now we managed to record this interview about which I was thinking for a couple of years. The story, how we got acquainted, we will retell at the beginning of our interview. And right now, before we start, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, to like this video, and to make repost of this interview on your social networks. And if you want to find the links to Layla's social networks, you can check the description to this video. I have all the links about Layla there. And right now, it's time to start. Well, hello, Layla. It's so nice to meet you, and I'm very honored and pleased to invite you to my interview, which is going to be released on my YouTube channel. And I
Awesome.
think, great. And I think we need to start this interview with telling to people how we got to know each other.
The pleasure is mine. I'm really happy to be here. And yeah, thanks for inviting me. And it is a funny story indeed. From the way I remember it, I woke up one morning and I had 25 to 30 people subscribe to me on Artstation. And all of their last names would end in like Yenko, Shenko, Tenko. And it was like weird. Okay. Because it doesn't really happen. If anyone who is on Artstation, you post an artwork and then follow,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, weird. And then a few days passed by and I realized that it might have been connected to like a chat that I had with a guy on Instagram who asked me a few questions about New Zealand and how I moved here. And I was like, okay. And then with some of my deduction skills, I ended up finding your channel and that stream that kind of brought us together, where this guy would like steal all of the attention of the stream and like talk about this girl from Moldova who lives in New Zealand now. And like I watched the stream and I just sat with like a face palm for half of it. I was like, oh no. I felt so bad for you because it was like awkward and weird, but also at the same time, I found your channel and yeah, you've got so many like cool videos, tutorials, just interviews as well. So it was kind of a blessing. Yeah, a blessing in disguise. Yeah, how was it for you?
Well, from my side, I think it was actually the same because there was a stream, and usually my streams like for 2 hours or 3, and it was on my like Russian Ukrainian speaking channel, and a lot of people who don't know English, they can subscribe to that one. And there was a guy who constantly was sending me messages like, take an interview from Layla, take interview from Layla. I said, okay, I will take, and I wrote it down to my notebook. And he kept on insisting, talk to Layla, talk to Layla, just listen, you need to talk to Layla. So from my side, it was like that. And I know also that he was also disturbing another streamer with same question. I think he is your biggest fan.
Yep, yep.
But actually, he did a very good job because right now we know each other, and right
Yeah,
now we are
only 2 years
recording.
later, I mean,
Yeah, 2 years later.
he's getting what he asked for. I don't know if he'll see this video, but if he does, thank you, I
Finally.
guess.
Yeah, finally he will be satisfied. Yeah, and well, actually, it's very interesting that not a lot of people from our, let's say, post-Soviet Union space, they move to other countries for work, and they're also 3D artists. So that's something really interesting. And I wanted to ask you, like, first of all, about New Zealand. How it happened that you moved to New Zealand? How did you manage to find enough courage to take everything and to move to the country which is so far away from yours? I know that for a lot of people, this immigration is like very painful question. So I want to ask you how it was for you.
That's a great question. And yeah, there is no denying that moving to another country is quite stressful, can be stressful for some people, and there is no way to avoid that, unfortunately. I was fortunate enough to move and reconnect with my sister. So, long story short, she moved to New Zealand with her husband in 2014. And then my parents and I have devised a plan that I'll move to New Zealand to study 3D as like to get a degree in 3D animation. And because there were no available like education paths in Moldova. Moldova is a small country. 3D in 2014-15 was still not a huge thing. So yeah, I found a university in Auckland, which is the biggest city in New Zealand, and where my sister and brother-in-law live. And yeah, so moved here with the help of a company called Kiwi Education. They're really nice guys. They're You don't pay them for it. So the way that it works, they help you out with documents, with like communications with universities and stuff. But you don't pay them. The university pays them a certain amount if like the tuition is paid for and it's like a successful like operation, like a student comes to New Zealand from like overseas. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't say it took away all the stress, but yeah, it was really pleasant experience because my sister moved away when I want to say 5.
Oh.
So I did not really remember her much. Like obviously I knew I had a sister, but she moved to States when I was 5. And for a big chunk of my life, she was abroad. So it was a really nice way to reconnect. And now we're like best friends.
That's so great that you had like someone who can support you, who can help you when you moved there. And are there like, let's say, 3 things which amused you in New Zealand? Like you said, oh my God, it is so strange, but it is so interesting, or something like that.
Yeah, free is not a lot. I can give you 10, 50, 100. It's very upside down if you're coming from like Eastern European country like Moldova or Ukraine or really anywhere other than Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, 3 things. Okay, so people are very resilient to cold here. And you know, there is like a joke that if you come from a country where it's like -25 during winter, you must be like very tough and stuff. No, New Zealanders are very tough. I see kids running around barefoot during winter, like on playgrounds.
Oh my God.
And it doesn't get as cold here, but it's like 9 degrees, and
Oh,
kids are barefoot. And it's like totally okay. So yeah, that was
I would have flu, definitely.
yeah. That's what I would think. And my sister and brother-in-law had a kid 5 years ago, Leo, my nephew.
Oh.
And now he's got this gene. Whenever I come around
Mhm.
to their house and I'm like looking at him and he's almost butt naked or like please barefoot. And I'm like, please wear something. He's like, no, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. So yeah, that would be the first thing. Very resilient to cold. Second, I guess very open, open people in the way that they communicate. You like stand in the line in the grocery store, and it's very normal for someone in front of you or behind you to like struck up a conversation, just about like weather or something just absolutely weird. Yeah, yeah. I had like a talk with a grandpa who was like offering me some advice on what sort of medicine I should get in the pharmacy. It was really cute, but for a mentality coming from Moldova or Ukraine or any of neighboring countries, you will be like
You
very
need
taken
something from
aback.
me.
You'll be like, yeah, 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 how can I help you? Excuse me. And they want nothing back. It's just a normal human interaction. Yeah. So that was really nice.
Yeah, and I
Um,
know what you're talking about because when I went to United States and they have this culture of these small talks, and I've had same feelings as you because why are you talking to me? Maybe you need something from I have nothing. So I also have this feeling what you feel. Yeah.
yeah, you get used to it though, and you find yourself making small talk too after a
Mhm.
few years. Uh, to add to that, apart from small talk, there was another thought that I had. But it just I lost my train of thought. It's okay,
Oh,
maybe it'll
sorry, I
come back to me
interrupted
later.
you.
No, no, it's okay. We're having a conversation, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, very open people.
I know that in summer it is like in summer what is considered in Europe summer. In New Zealand it is winter, is it right?
Yep, yep, that's right. That's probably the biggest thing that doesn't work for me in New Zealand. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, after 6 years, it's been 6.5 years almost since I moved here. I'll get used to it, to celebrating Christmas or New Year's and wearing shorts and going to barbecues on the beach. That's the Kiwi way of celebrating Christmas. And Kiwi is a term that people use to describe New Zealanders.
Wow.
Yeah. So I
Wow,
might
that's
like
interesting.
drop it in so you don't feel weird when I say it. I don't mean the birds, I mean the people.
Ah, yeah,
Humans.
yeah. Oh, yeah, got it. And do you have plan to stay in New Zealand like longer, or you maybe want to go somewhere else?
It depends. Is immigration gonna be watching this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I definitely can see myself returning to New Zealand, but at this point of my life, I would want to travel a bit more, try living in different countries. But there are there's a big list of things that I really enjoy about my life in New Zealand, so I can see myself living here at some point. My partner and I are currently considering potentially moving to Australia.
Oh.
Yeah, which is a neighboring country, a bit
Mm-hmm.
bigger, a bit warmer in some areas. Yeah, we'll see.
And this is something new, which is definitely great. Well, I've never
Yeah.
been to Australia. I think for me to get visa, it's like very difficult. I know a lot of people who didn't get visa, I mean, from Ukraine because we need visa. So I
Mhm.
think that's amazing to go to Australia. And anyway, I wish you good luck. And
Thank you.
whenever you go, you know that it's going to be an interesting experience. So yeah, definitely, yes. And
Yeah.
the next question, which I wanted to ask you, is is about art. And this is, I know that a lot of artists, how they come to 3D, usually, like mostly, there are two ways. Or they had passion for drawing since childhood, or they had passion for games or for cartoons. And what is your way? Did you have any of this passion which lead you to become a 3D artist?
Yep. Yeah. Also, great question. I think I had all three of them,
Oh,
both cartoons and games, and love for drawing. My mom actually kept giant like folders filled with my art from kindergarten, and like it's all scribbles of nonsense and like Disney princesses and like animals, and everything is like rainbowy. But yeah, drawing was a big part of my life from the beginning. And funnily enough, we lived in a block of flats, so a 9-story
mhm.
building, and we lived on the second floor. And the first floor was actually rented out by this 2D animation company. I
Wow.
know. Yeah, so they drew cartoons traditionally on paper on those giant desks with the lights
Mhm.
behind them and the like parchment paper like paper, like
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
full old school stuff. And they would scan it and transfer it. And the reason why I know is because at a young age, my parents were like, why not? She draws anyway. So, and it was literally below my bedroom, so below my room.
Wow.
So they would send me there and I would like draw stuff without really realizing what's happening.
Oh my God, that's really cool. And I wanted
Mm.
to ask you about who was your favorite Disney princess?
I had to be Ariel. Yeah. No, looking back, I don't understand it. There are so many moral questions I would ask, but yeah, it was Ariel.
Yeah, I can understand. My favorite was Pocahontas,
Okay.
and I think um, Belle from Beauty and the
Beauty and
Beast.
the Beast. Yeah.
Yeah, I think these two were my favorite ones. But yeah, I also grown up on Disney cartoons, not on the cartoons from the like Eastern European part of
Mhm.
Europe of the world.
Mhm.
So yeah, all this Disney they also influenced a lot. So I know what you feel. Yeah, and connecting to this question is why did you decide to a profession of 3D artist, not a 2D artist?
Okay. Yeah, that's also very interesting. I never thought about it because I went to an art school, like, we call it hudoshka.
Yeah.
There is no
Uh,
way really to translate it. It's not a full-on art school, but you go there after school for
yeah,
like
it's
2, 3
it's
hours.
like uh, oh, let's think about the word.
Art
Additional
course?
yeah, it's like courses and additional education, like supplementary school. Yeah, we have this. We have same with
Yeah.
music and with art. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, it's Hodoshka.
Yeah. Went to hudoshka for quite a few years, I think like 4, and studied all the still lifes, all the different mediums, watercolors, oils, everything. I was the worst in the class because I was the youngest, but also like my lines were never straight, my technique was never great, my composition was all out of whack. um, but the teacher would like praise me for my creativity, so I guess that accounted for something. So I kept going. And after I like completed it, I think at the age of 14, I
Mhm.
accidentally discovered Blender on YouTube.
Wow,
And
Blender existed. Oh my God.
yeah, it was a thing. It was nowhere near as it is right now, where you
Mhm.
mention and people already like ZBrush or Blender, Mayo or Blender. No, it wasn't like that. no wars were fought over Blender back then. But yeah, it was a modeling software which was free. And I remember picking up the first tutorial with like a cup of tea, I think, and how to set up an IBL. And I made it in maybe like 3 days time, which probably should have taken me half an hour nowadays. But I was super proud and I showed it to my parents, and lots of tutorials followed, like teddy bears, different like again cups, mugs, chairs, random stuff. So that's how I got into 3D, and it was like this whole exciting new medium, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn stuff into 3D models. Yeah.
Do you use Blender in your work?
Not anymore. No. I'll I think I'll mention it later in the video why not. But I was like very not a lot of time has passed since I first discovered it, and then I was retaught to use Maya. Maybe like a year and a half. So I
Yeah.
used it for a bit. It taught me like the basics of what models are, UVs are, textures, lighting, rendering. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I
no, I
got
don't
it.
use it anymore. I know it's got so many cool features that look amazing, like hair tools with those brushes that you can like pull out and non-destructively like groom characters basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I would like to try out. Yeah. What about you? Have you used Blender?
Oh no, it's not. I am not a hater of Blender. I mean, I try to use software which is a standard of the industry, and not to spend time on learning just another software which is doing the same, but just another software. Like the only reason why I might learn Blender in future is because it is free of charge. That can be the only reason. For example, if I will not have opportunity to pay for my license, but that's the only reason why I would learn Blender. And I just don't see any need in learning Blender for me right now, because all the same things I can do in Maya, I can do in that brush. And instead of learning Blender, I can just learn the tools and to develop the skills which I don't know, maybe Xgen here, for example, or rendering in Redshift or something like this. So I don't know Blender at all.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You bring up a very fair point that if there still aren't enough companies in the industry that use it as their main software of choice, So if you were to like apply, let's say, for a position of a grooming artist,
Mhm.
chances are they need someone who works with Xgen or Yeti or Natrix, right? Rarely they'll look for Blender hair system artists. Not that
Mhm.
I've seen. So
Yeah. I have a question about English. How did you learn English? Because I watched a lot of your streams, and um, of course English is like
good.
same
That's so cute.
same as mine. It's like not the first language, and that's why I'm interested. How did you learn English? Because you speak like much better than I do, much better than a lot of other people whose first language is not English. How did you
You
manage to
give me
get to this level?
Thank you. You give me too much credit. I make mistakes still, even like after years of living here. But yeah, it was a very standard journey. I think a lot of people take, again, courses after school
Mm-hmm.
from like a teenage years. My dad would like organize that I could like that I would study two languages. It was Spanish and English. So
Wow.
I still know a little bit of Spanish. I know that you're very like you're really into languages too. Was it Korean and Italian?
Italian, yeah. Italian.
Yeah.
I can speak Korean, but I can speak Italian.
Nice, nice. So for me, it was Spanish and English stuck around for longer, and I learned it pretty well in terms of grammar, passed IELTS, which was one of the requirements for
Wow.
moving to New
Mm-hmm.
Zealand and applying for the course here. They had some like a minimum was 6.0 6.5 as a median mark that you had to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got it. It was very scary.
Which score did you get?
Oh, I think it was 6.5.
Yeah, I got it. Exactly what you
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah. Yeah. It was super stressful because back then there were no IELTS testing centers in Moldova. So we had to drive to Iași in Romania. Iași, I'm not sure what English word for it is. Never really
Okay.
looked it up. Yeah. Yeah, passed it there. I'm pretty sure I made a fool of myself so many times, but passed it. And I still have like a printout somewhere in my documents folder, and my face is like a mugshot, like I was about to be, yeah, taken into jail. It was like this. And it didn't help that it was in black and white as well. Anyway, I can send you a photo and you can like paste it here if you want.
Yeah, please. Because I also
Yeah.
passed IELTS. That was so stressful, and I also have very scary photo there on this
Oh, we
IELTS.
can
And also,
post them together.
yes, I think we should. Yeah, and oh my God, I think I also took a same test in Italian, and surprisingly, the test in Italian was more relaxing than the test in IELTS. So, oh my God, IELTS is something what I hope I will not need to pass anymore.
Yeah, me neither. Moving to the English speaking country really like seals the deal,
Of
You've
course,
got no choice but to speak.
that's
And
true.
yep, you don't know the word. Oh well, you'll be like, oh, the thing that does the thing that moves the thing, and
Yes.
you get by. Switching your YouTube to English, switching your Netflix or whatever you have to English, and just starting to consume information in English really helps. Yeah, I haven't watched anything in Russian for years now, apart
Wow.
from like select movies, I think, or TV shows that were like natively created in Russian. I think I should bring it up that even though I'm Moldovan, I speak Russian, which is a thing that happens in like lots of countries. In that
Yeah.
area, my mom is Russian, but my dad is Moldovan.
How many languages do you speak?
Uh, Fluently too, but I
Mm-hmm.
understand um, Moldovan and Ukrainian, I want to say on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because my grandma is Ukrainian and she would
Ah.
like inter she would like switch between Russian and Ukrainian with us all the time. And also I have lots of friends from Odessa, which is where my brother was born as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like godparents there, and we would go there every year since I was like a little kid, and I would have like best friends there, and we would always watch movies in Ukrainian, and like I would brush up on my Ukrainian. So that was really good time.
And I think it's time to go back to our art questions.
Yes.
And we were talking about how you became a 3D artist. And the question which goes out from this question is, how have you chosen to become a character artist? Not environment, not VFX. Is there any specific what makes you enjoy characters comparing to environments?
Mhm. Yeah. I think if you were to look at my childhood drawings, you would only see characters, even though those would be some very horrific, non-proportional characters, you would still be characters. Faces, princesses, whatever. So I think it was always there, but I needed some time to understand that I wanted to do character art in 3D because I did not start out as a character artist. I started out as a 3D generalist, then um, not to go too much into details, my first gig was an internship in a company in
Mm-hmm.
Moldova when I was 15 or 16. And the guy that took me under his wing, he was a Houdini artist, so visual effects and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn Houdini straight off the bat
Wow.
from Blender to Houdini. It's usually not the way that people do it. Usually it's like
Mm-hmm.
ZBrush or Maya
Yeah.
or Blender, you know. Uh,
When you
yeah,
started with
Houdini.
Blender, then was Houdini, then was Maya and that brush.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
like that. Yeah, a bit of like a backwards way into the industry, but Houdini taught me a lot. My supervisor at the time, his name was Gena.
Mm-hmm.
He is amazing. I really value what he gave me and what the whole company gave me. I was surrounded by like a whole department of really cool dudes and dudettes. And they taught me everything this like 16-year-old who doesn't know what she's doing. Now I do, but back then had no idea. And
Oh
then
yeah.
slowly transitioned into university, studied for a year, also tried out a bunch of things there. And my final assignment was to do whatever I wanted. And I did a character and I really enjoyed it.
I know that very often when people want to be character artists, the main thing which they scare off is anatomy. Was anatomy the most scaring part for you when you were like moving in your profession of a 3D character artist? Or
Mhm.
maybe there was like something different was the most difficult.
Mhm. Um, I think it should have been. I think I was more oblivious to the fact that anatomy is something that you must know.
Mhm.
When I was starting out, I would make these faces that would have no structure in them whatsoever. Usually like floating heads, like people start out, they make
Yeah,
heads. Yeah, those were some horrific faces, and I can find them. I can
of
find them and
course.
I'll send them to you.
Ah,
Oh
that would be
my.
great.
Yeah, I had like I was like a child, no concern for like taxes or mortality, like those
Yes.
topics just avoided me. I was like, anatomy, what? And then as I progressed in my character art journey, I started noticing, oh, so why does it suck? And I was like, okay, anatomy. Okay, let's do it. So yeah, it came after the fact, and I'm still studying it, as we all are.
Hmm.
I believe we all study it until we're dead. Even like doctors still do, right? And they study for it for like a decade. So
Right.
unless you're a doctor going into 3D, I don't think
Mhm.
you should be expected to know every single bone or muscle or tissue in your body, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how I make myself feel good.
Yeah, that's true that character artists they study anatomy like through the whole life, and there's always like something what you need to learn. A thought came to my mind that you are a stylist artist, and maybe this is influenced because of the cartoons which you watched in childhood, or maybe something else.
Yeah, quite possibly. All of the cartoons. I really enjoyed Pixar movies, Disney movies as a kid. Um, got into anime pretty young as well. I think I was around 10 years old.
Anime,
Um,
yeah. What's your
yeah.
favorite one? Did you watch Sailor Moon?
No, I wish I could, but
Yeah.
we had cable in our
Mm-hmm.
house, but I don't think we had the channel that was translating uh, anime
Ah.
exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go to my friend's house who was like 2 years older than me, and we would like go on Mail.ru, something like that. And we would find videos there of like, well, obviously illegally translated to Russian anime, and it was Tokyo Mew Mew, which is a
Mm-hmm.
similar genre to Sailor Moon, which is like this magical girl genre. But yeah, started there, and it hasn't stopped since. I still enjoy it, just different genres now.
Again, the stories which I usually know is usually people start their career with game dev, and
Mhm.
then when they develop their skills, they proceed to animation, to cinematics, to cartoons. In your situation, it was different. How does it happen? Was it your initial desire to start your career with cartoons, with animation, then with like game development?
Um, I think it was just whatever was available, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, Moldova, small country. only probably Simples was the company where I had the internship, and it was probably one of two or three that they were in Chisinau at the
Mm-hmm.
time. So, and they were doing advertisements and short cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I got into. I didn't even consider gaming. Don't know why until like recently. Even though I'm a huge gamer, I enjoy games a lot as a way of storytelling, as a way of unwinding after a long day of work. Uh, yeah, lots of things. So I'd say it's just what was available, and also my love for animation through Pixar cartoons. That's
So,
a just
do you
sense.
have any plans or desires to work in game dev, to try yourself in game dev?
Yes, yes. I think I told you that before, that I am considering transitioning into game dev, maybe not fully, but like trying myself out. And I actually started working on this like game character that I can send to you as well.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm, of course.
like very Overwatchy, Valorant, League of Legends style, which you should be very familiar with.
Of
You
course.
worked on Heroes of the Storm and what was it, Ruined King?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah,
Lots of
right.
stuff that is in the similar genre. So yeah, wanted to try myself out. It's quite different from animation. Triangles are prohibited
Yes.
and they're encouraged actually. The shape language is different, it's all about the silhouette. You can have a bit of a more relaxed attitude in animation because like displacements take a lot of like pressure away.
Yeah.
You just like bake it in and then plug it in, and then during render times your details will be shown, but in games it's not this way. So yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve the past year,
Yeah, as you know,
but
in games, details, it's faking the details by the normal model, which is actually faking the details. Yeah,
yeah.
and well, I always wanted to work in cinematics, but I
Mhm.
started working with game dev, and I'm still here, which is also pretty nice. So, well, if you will have any questions about game dev, you're always welcome to ask me.
Be careful. I will like send you DMs.
It's okay. I like answering the questions. And also
Cool.
wanted to ask you, you did a lot of projects, and do you have like one or two projects among those on which you worked? Which is your favorite one and why?
Yes. So the company I currently work for, is called Flux Animation Studio. It's based here in Auckland, New Zealand. And we primarily do like commercial advertisements, but also the past few years, we have been like delving into more short form animation stuff and animation
Mhm.
projects, some cinematics as well, for games. And the most enjoyed project has to be one that we did with Disney in
Mhm.
2020. It was called From Our Family to Yours, which
I
was
think
a
you
short
post
animated
something
cartoon.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a 3-minute cartoon about like what it's like, what is Christmas for families? What is it like to connect during Christmas? And it was told from a perspective of a Filipino character and how they like perceive Christmas. And it was a story about a granddaughter and a grandma, how they like reconnect by building paroles. Paroles being those star-shaped lanterns that are very
Mhm.
popular in Philippines. Yeah, and it was the first big like collaboration for me in my experience in the industry. Obviously Disney,
Of course,
lots
of
of
course.
pressure. But yeah, it was very enjoyable. And later down the line, we made two more as like a continuation story of the first one, which all followed different families on Christmas time. So that was
Wow.
really, really cool. And I got to model some characters. I think I started out with background ones, and I was grooming them, texturing, modeling, yada yada yada. And then in the final one, I got to like model one of the main characters, which was really, really fun.
You mentioned that you also made some grooming stuff for the characters. And I have a question. As far as I know, as far as it is written on your Artstation, you are using Xgen. And my experience with Xgen is not big, but what I feel about Xgen that it is not giving you enough control. And this is what I don't like about Xgen. Do you have same feelings about Xgen, or some tips and tricks?
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. Having tried Houdini's hair system, Yeti, Pomaya, and Xgen. Xgen is the most unreliable of the three. The crashes, if you rename anything or move any folders around, God forbid, oh my God. I know you can do amazing stuff with it, but personally, I have not had like the best experience with it. So ever since I discovered Yeti at work, I have switched to it because Yeti is more of a node-based system, same way as it is in Houdini as well, actually. Maybe I'm biased. I like nodes, whereas Xgen is just sliders, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. About control, it all comes down to like how you place your guides and stuff. Yeah, I guess it's just preference, right?
Yeah. And I talked about Xgen to a groom artist. I think you know him, Andrei Krivula. And he told me that the Xgen which we have and Xgen which is inside of Pixar Studio, it's a little bit different because they have like more inside of Pixar Studio because it was created by them. Inside, they have like more plugins, more controls. So as he told me, well, if you want to learn Xgen properly, you need to go to work in Pixar and to find all their secrets and tricks and so on. And he also told me that Ornatrix is good. Have you tried Ornatrix?
No, I have heard lots of good things about it, specifically for hairstyles. So Yeti is known for more like creature grooms, you know, like bears or lions, anything like that. And Ornatrix, from what I've seen, mostly hairstyles like complex braided, long-haired hairstyles. So to each their own. And I guess if you can get your hands on all of them, amazing. Try all of them.
Of course, of course. Well, I always think that life is not enough. One life is not enough to learn everything. Well, and also I very often watch your streams, and I always like the concepts which you choose. So I have a question, which is, what do you pay attention to when you choose a concept? Do you have anything specific to what you pay attention, or just in general, how do you choose your concepts?
Is it Ian's question?
No.
I'm just God damn it. Okay. Okay. I think it's the same thing as everybody looks for. I'm sure you do the same. It's how well the character reads against the background, the silhouette, you know. Is it interesting? Is it flat? The color theory in it. If it's like very monotonous, like blue hues everywhere, it's not as interesting. So if it's like blue and a little bit of yellow or orange here and like maybe a very dark skin, you know, and it's like on a very complementary background, I pay attention to that. And also how much sense it makes, you know, if it's for like a full-on build, if it's like a full character. If there are like some blurry details or there's a belt that connects to another belt that connects to the head that connects to the knees for some reason, it looks awesome but it makes zero sense, then I'm not gonna pick it.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
totally understand you. And I don't know whether you're doing this or not, but when I pick concepts, I try to pick a concept where there's going to be like 20-30% challenge for me, what I don't know or
Mhm.
what is going to be difficult for me. Because like at a certain level, you understand that just making a nice character is not enough. Maybe you need you
Mhm.
dedicate a lot of time to make just one character, and that means that it is better to dedicate some time on learning, and you can learn something new while making this character. So like 20-30% I think is enough to challenge yourself, because when it is 100%, then I think it's
Mhm.
just, oh my God.
No, no, for sure, for sure. It's a good point. I should add it to my list as well, so
Yeah.
I don't get too like not lazy, but too comfortable with sculpting like females. I try to vary it up. A lot of people choose female characters to sculpt, which is like understandable. Like females are pretty, we are.
We are.
um, but it's also really good to practice different age groups and different like ethnicities.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, sometimes even creatures or props. Why not? You're making the armored guy, right?
Yeah, right
I
now.
saw on your stories. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
right now
knight.
making him. Yeah, and I'm trying to combine like stylization and realism. Realism for me is something very difficult. I never worked in realism, and I try to combine it just somehow to learn something new and to broaden a little bit my skills and what I can do. So yeah, but still it's such a big pain to make realism for me. But yeah, right now that's going to be a guy which I am making, and the next one I think that's going to be a girl, because I need to have some rest.
Fair enough. I understand you.
Yeah. And do you have any tips on how to check that your work, your 3D work, corresponds to the concept? I know a lot of artists use different techniques. For example, if you ask me, for me, the best variant to see whether the concept is, the 3D model is same as concept, is to make a print screen and to upload to Photoshop when you see both pictures and you consider both of them as 2D work. And then I start seeing what is wrong. And what about you? Do you have any tips on this?
So I use the same trick as well as you do, but I do it less frequently. So probably like once every few days of working on the character, I will
Mhm.
upload it to Photoshop and then like see the proportions. Um, I've seen some people do like color breakdowns, so they will like pick a very neon color and then they will like outline the hair, then the face, then maybe like some very drastic proportional changes in the body, and then they like compare it to the model so it's easier to see when it's highlighted. That can help. um, but I personally prefer good old spotlight in ZBrush. I don't like the transparency thing at the top. It
Oh,
just doesn't
really?
work for me. No, I tried, but spotlight just works better for me because I'm really used to using like hotkeys.
Hmm.
So there's a very easy way to like hotkey the texture on and off in ZBrush. So it's very fast for me to check. If you watch any of my streams on ZBrush, you'll see what I do there every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I watched them and I noticed in my head that you're doing it with Spotlight, but I don't know, when you said it right now, it was like, really? It was like a
Yeah.
surprise. And I am personally the only artist who is using transparency slider in that brush. For me, it is like, I love it so much. But again,
Great.
I don't think that there are no artists who mentioned also that like this transparency slider, but still, yeah, that's still very interesting. Since we're talking about that brush, I know we already said that you are an official Zbrush Live streamer. And can you say several words about this, your like additional work, how you became official Zbrush Live streamer, and was it like something you wanted for several years? Was that your dream, or how did it happen, just in general?
Sure. So I've always found live streams on YouTube dedicated to ZBrush fascinating, and it was really like a wholesome experience for me. I would watch Polygon, which is a really cool dude. He streams on his channel. Well, he used to stream. And then Oля Nufrieva, I would watch lots of
Yeah.
her streams. And that was like very wholesome. And then I found out that both of those artists would stream occasionally on this channel called Zbrush Live. And I was like, okay. And then I discovered Zbrush Live, and down the rabbit hole I went. Lots of artists to choose from, everybody in their own style. Somebody makes jewelry, somebody makes stylized, somebody makes like creatures like Ashley. And it was just like a breath of fresh air. I was like, wow, that's awesome. So I consumed all of that. And I was like, man, I would want to do that one day. And I did it. I started my own YouTube channel and I streamed for a few months there. And then one day I opened ZBrush, and you know how you get, if you don't turn it off, you get this new window saying like new features, or like
Yeah, yeah.
highlights. Yeah, so there was an image of a guy, I think it was Paul Gabery. I think it was his face, but it was photoshopped onto like, you know, that old American poster, a guy of like looking at you with like a finger. It's like, we need you. Yeah, so it was that, we need you. And I clicked on it, and it was a call for 3D artists who want to join and maybe like come on stream. And I messaged them, and I got a reply like a few days later, maybe like a week later. And we set up a call with, I think, Paul and Ian, and they liked me. I really liked them. And it was meant to be a one-off kind of like breakdown of an image. So pick an artwork from Artstation and just talk about it, how I made it in ZBrush. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy to do that, but I also want to stream. And they were like, okay. And so I went. They set me up with the graphics, and like the next week I streamed. Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
And it
that's
was
amazing.
terrible. My internet fell, like my Wi-Fi disconnected 3 times, and it was like 3 bits of the first stream. I was so nervous. I'm pretty sure my stomach went just like upside down that day because I was so nervous. There were so many people joining in the stream, and then it would go down. It's just a streamer's nightmare. That's what it
Well,
was.
well, I can imagine. I know what you're talking about. I have a little bit different story. I'm
Mhm.
also like the Brush Live streamer, and I had another. I had a fear, and this fear came true. And the fear was that during the stream, I will lose electricity, which happens here right now pretty often. And that happened, like, I think it was in April. And hopefully, that was like no light for a couple of minutes, and then I restarted my stream and nothing bad happened, but still for me that was something very terrible, because it's, for me, it's big responsibility to be a streamer, official streamer for that brush, because you're official streamer, that's why that's big responsibility. And yeah, so I can totally understand all these fears which you have. Let's tell to people who are watching this interview your schedule on the streams. When do you have your streams? What time? What day? New Zealand time.
Okay, so New Zealand time, it's 6:30 a.m. every other Friday. So for any of you who are in Europe, that would be around like 10
It's
hours behind, 9, 10
yeah,
hours behind.
yeah. It's
So,
going to be 11, I think. So Thursday
so it'll
11.
be late night at Thursday, yeah. Uh, in States, it would be like morning Thursday, like
Yeah,
19 hours.
it's
Well,
going
it
to be.
depends on where in States.
Yeah, I have a difference with states 10 hours. So if it is 23 in Ukraine, it's going to be lunch. It's going to be lunch in the
Yeah, or
United
maybe
States.
like closer to lunch, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can check it out on zbrushlive.com, I think, or they have
Yeah.
like a calendar set up, and we
Yeah.
all type in our times, so you can check out Anya's streams. time and my streams time as well.
Yeah, you can always check it there. And welcome to our streams. We have not boring, interesting streams. Yeah.
And I
And
did make it a habit to post one or like 10 hours before the stream and when the stream starts. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's hard to miss.
yeah, also all the links to Layla will be and are in the description to this video, so you can find everything what you need about Layla.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and another question. The thing is that in 2021, you won the competition, which is Sculpt Off, which is held by Maxon. And the question is, what were you inspired by and what has encouraged you to participate in it?
So inspired me in terms of the artwork that I created or
Yes,
encouraged to
yes.
participate?
What
Okay.
encouraged you to participate and what inspired you to make that William Red Hood?
Yeah. So it must be Ian's question.
Yes.
Am I right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Second time around. Thank you, Ian. Great question. I was so thrilled to win it. I had no idea that I would. I've been watching those competitions for a while because, as I said, I would consume lots of streams in English as well to polish up my like language skills, and also as a means of learning ZBrush. And one of those streams would be those offline events in California, I think, where they would do speed sculpts, but in real life before Corona was a thing. And yeah, that was just so much fun to watch. Like people compete in the art medium that I like hold in such high regard. I do it for a living, and people are making it even like more fun. You know, it's like a competition.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to try it, and then it was online, so I decided, why not? Why not? And as for references and inspirations, there is a show, you might know it. It's called Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
Yeah. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, um, it's a show about these fairy tale characters and creatures that got trapped in this small American town. I think it's in America.
I think,
And
yeah.
they all have forgotten about their true identities as like fairy tale characters, and but they look like fairy tale characters, you know, like Snow White's got black short hair and blah blah blah, but it's got a bit of a like a darker twist to it. So one of the characters is obviously Red Riding Hood, and she is living with her grandma, and they run a diner, and there's like a gimmick in the show about her, and like whenever so she is a werewolf but without knowing it. And she loses her consciousness when she turns into a werewolf on the, I think, like full moon nights. So her grandma keeps it a secret from her to like keep her safe. So she like locks her up and stuff, and the daughter or granddaughter does not remember. Anyway, if you have seen the show, it makes sense. It's a twist on the Red Riding Hood being the villain
Yeah.
herself. It so basically, yeah, inspired me to do that.
Well, it's I don't know how it feels to win the competition because I never won, but it is great. And I know that last year you also took part in Artstation contest and you got honorable mentions. And again, the question is, there were a lot of different concepts. For Artstation concept, you have just a bunch of concepts which you can choose, and you choose that concept, which is going to be here. And why? Can you tell me what were you driven by when you were choosing this concept?
Okay. I think I chose it. There were lots of concepts, right? Lots of very talented people competed. And I mean, to which their own. Somebody chose more of a game art style concepts. I was specifically looking for something that would live more in the cinematic realm or animation series realm as opposed to games, because I was
Oh, yeah.
participating in the visual effects category, right? So when I saw Craftsman, work by Ara, no, I'm not gonna, I don't remember the name of the artist,
Okay.
but she did a very, really good job. You like can pull up the whole lineup of characters, and she's written stories for them that this craftsman has found the soldier, and I think like helped rebuild it and stuff, something like that. Anyway, I was captivated by the story. I really liked the color palette. I'm a huge fan of pastel colors and anything with metal and pastels and Victorian style. It just spoke to me. I was like, wow, I can make so many cool textures. And I wanted to train that. And a bit of hard surface here and there. And it's not your typical like female caricature that I usually make.
The result was amazing, and at the same
Thank you.
time that was interesting to follow your like work in progress, because we need to post like work in progress there, and like looking step by step how it is becoming completed. That's also like another kind of magic and pleasure which we can have when we're observing all these competitions. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for
that's
sure. Imagine what it's like for 2D artists that just obviously they did a huge, like lots of
yeah.
work, like a huge amount of work in a short period of time, like seven or eight
Mm-hmm.
characters, right? But then seeing them get picked by talented 3D artists and turning them into something of a 3D form, that exists in a different space, it must feel like just magical.
Do you have any projects which no one has ever seen? Not because of NDA, but because you don't like how you managed to sculpt them.
Yes, I call it like a
Table
3D
projects.
graveyard. No, like graveyard of unfinished projects. It's on my D
Perfect.
drive. Too many to admit. I should be ashamed. Um, yeah, some of them just no longer fit into my art style. I have some well done 3D models, but some they're in a style that I don't want to like keep on improving in. So I don't want to strive towards the style anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to get more into this semi-stylization, so closer to like cinematic style, I guess. So we're
Yeah.
in this like more of a realistic proportions, but still like stylized eyes and like maybe colors are very bright
Textures.
and cheerful. Yeah, textures, but like realistic grooming and stuff. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
very interested in that. And I have some artworks that are well made, but they no longer fit.
Yeah, I
And
totally
it's a
understand you.
constant struggle. I'm sure you understand as well. On Artstation, I go through my portfolio and I like either archive or delete out or bring back. It's constantly in this
In the
motion
movement.
of
Yeah.
in the movement. Yeah.
I think every artist has such graveyard. I from time to time talk to different artists, and I chase people with this question, and everyone says, "Yeah, of course I have. I have such a graveyard." So I think all of us have it. And
Mhm.
again, talking about characters, what is the most difficult stage in the pipeline of creating characters for you?
From animation standpoint or games, because for games I'm still like
Uh, uh, uh,
learning a few things.
let's say about animation.
Okay. The most difficult. Um, calling it done, I guess.
Really?
And posing, I
Oh.
guess. I think out of all things that I've learned from the art school,
Mm-hmm.
which is like color, composition, a lot of those skills stuck around and I still use them. You can see it through my color theory, through like maybe anatomy, maybe composition. But one thing that I struggle with is plasticity, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
terms of like how you pose your characters. I feel like a lot of my characters are very like stiff and like one-dimensional, I guess. So it's something I want to improve in my works. You know, more asymmetry, more plasticity, more like visual interest in terms of the pose. And same with the face. Faces are very, very hard to
Of
pull off,
course.
especially like expressions, you know.
I think it is one of the most difficult because it's not enough to like move your lips. You need to
Mm.
move like your nose, your eyes, your cheeks, because even when we smile, the whole face moves. So yeah,
Mm.
I can understand all this
And then
difficulty.
stylization, especially, yeah. It's
Especially,
not
yeah.
just like, you know, the whole cheek now has to like move up. My eyes has to be like half closed. The eyebrow may be raised, you know.
Talking about that brush, I think this is the most widespread question which is asked at your streams, but still I want to ask it because it's just a question which I like asking is, what are your 5 favorite brushes in that brush?
Easy. So clay buildup,
Mm-hmm.
um, mech cut.
Mm-hmm.
Does smooth count as a brush?
Yes.
Yeah, smooth. Then move.
Mhm.
And the last one is curve pinch,
Oh,
which
curve
is
pinch. Oh my God. That's the
so
biggest
good.
discovery which I did by mistake, and it is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything for like blocking out the lips or, you know, any other parts of the body where you need to add like a very sharp indentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to ask you not only about work, but also about life and all we
Mhm.
know about life balance. Like in this world, it is difficult to keep this life balance. Do you manage to
Mhm.
keep the life balance? And well, in general, tell me please how you balance between work, rest, and life in general.
Mhm. I'd want to say, I wish I could lie to you and say that I'm like, I've got it all figured out, you know. I'm so zen, you know. I meditate when I wake up and then I eat healthy food and then I am to work on time every day and nothing goes wrong, you know, and I never like miss my sleep time. No,
No
you know, we're all
crunches.
humans. No, no crunches, no. We're all humans and it's okay to be imperfect. Um, I try to stay sane because this industry can be insane and it can
Yeah.
affect you mentally and physically. So my way of dealing with it is sport,
Mm-hmm.
which helps me so much. I recently had an injury that prevented me from doing sports for 2 months,
Oh,
and I
is
felt it.
everything
You
okay
know,
now?
like yeah, I'm okay. Thank you for asking. But in those 2 months, it was like an experiment. I could feel it mentally that I was like not doing well, you know, because the sport was outside of my life. And I know that you work out as well. So you must feel like the importance of exercise as well,
Yeah.
especially with our type of job, being sedentary, like constantly in front of a monitor or free. I don't know what it does to our body, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
um, yeah, sports and crafts, I'd say. So
Crafts.
any other, yeah, like art media that isn't connected to the computer, you know, crochet or polymer clay, sculpt, you know, anything with hands, yeah, also relaxes me quite a bit. I just made some
Amazing.
gloves because it's really cold in New Zealand and
Mm-hmm.
our office is 2 degrees colder than it is currently
Oh,
outside. And
oh,
sometimes my fingers freeze when I
oh my
work
God.
with like a stylus. It's just something that the office needs to figure out, maybe like more heaters.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a common New Zealand problem, though.
Yeah.
It, there is no internal heating as such in New Zealand. You know how in
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine or Moldova, you go into the house or apartment and you've got
Let's check. Let's
heaters,
go to the dictionary.
rectangular heaters placed below the windows.
Radiator. Radiator.
Radiators? Yeah,
Radiators. Yeah. Yeah.
nothing like that here. You can ask a landlord to install like a heat pump and it will be similar, but it's not quite the same. So
Mm-hmm.
Kiwis are very accustomed to being cold, to like waking up and you have like steam coming out of your mouth. Like
Oh,
was not the steam. What would I call it?
it's
You know, like you can see your breath in the
fog.
morning.
Yeah, smoke.
Yeah, so to that I crocheted some gloves for myself so my fingers are warm when I work.
Well, that's really cute and that's really useful. So good job on here. Yeah. And do you have any pets?
I really want to. I really
Oh.
want to. Yeah, we are currently renting an apartment in the city,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, not a lot of landlords will allow for you to have a pet.
Oh.
Cats are more or less allowed, but
Mm-hmm.
dogs, like off charts of the limits. You need to own a property, and
Mm-hmm.
I just currently don't have spare
Yeah.
$400,000 to buy this apartment.
What kind of pet do you want?
I think we would start with a cat. Yeah. Although I really like leopard geckos. Have you seen those?
No, no.
If you
Well,
type in like leopard gecko, they're those really cute geckos that almost look cartoony because they have very big googly eyes and they're very expressive.
yeah, I got it. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
And they have
something
those big
interesting.
fat tails where they store
Mm-hmm.
fat, I think. And they have like
Oh,
such beautiful colors and yeah, probably a cat and a gecko.
cool, cool. I also wanted to ask you if you were not a 3D artist, then what profession would you choose? Have you ever
Well,
thought?
yes. Uh, I two completely different directions.
Mm-hmm.
Either a baker, really enjoy baking, or like a sports coach.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
Yeah, I
that's
really enjoy nutrition, exercise, what it does to your body, what like metamorphoses are like happening in your body when you exercise, how like the whole muscle building versus like cutting versus like very interesting. You know, I would like research it for hours. It's kind of my content on YouTube.
what I noticed. I mean, talking about artists, um, artists usually have, such a wide range of interests. It's not only just art and everything connected with art. It's usually about a lot of different things. And that was always inspires me when I speak to artists, because it's not only about art, it's just in general about personality. So it was like our whole conversation is amazingly interesting and inspiring for me, and I hope that for everyone who is watching, definitely for everyone who is watching. But still, that's like a feature which I think all artists have. They're interested in a lot of things, and that's so great.
Mhm. Yeah, why limit yourself with just one thing that you have to learn 10?
Right,
I mean,
right. Definitely, yes. At one of your streams, you said that you're a little bit antisocial. What do you mean?
um, I'd say I fall on more of an introvert side
Mm,
of personality, but at the same time, I really look forward to my streams, you know. I really
I
enjoy
know.
talking to people online, you know. I am really enjoying our conversation right now. So what does it make me, you know? Um, I guess antisocial, I mean that you know how there is a FOMO, fear of missing out, like a saying,
Yes.
a FOMO.
Yeah.
I have a JOMO, it's like a joy of missing out
Ah, yes. Yeah.
sometimes. I know you are more of an extroverted person, but let's say if I had some sort of plans with someone over the weekend, and sometimes just things don't work out, I'll be okay, you know. I'll be like, okay, so I get to spend more time at home crocheting or doing 3D or watching movies or playing games. You know, I take it more as a positive thing because I think more extroverted people would take it more as like a bummer, you know, oh,
Hmm.
damn. So yeah, I guess that's what I mean by antisocial.
Yeah, I get what you mean, because that was like a big conflict in my head, because you like making streams and you make them every day, or not, oh my God, not every day, every
No,
week.
I wish.
No, every week, and you say that you're antisocial, and how does it connect it? So that was, thank you for that answer. And yeah, now I understand like much better. Is there anything specific what inspires you? I can explain, give you an example. For example, I'm inspired by people. When I talk to people, when I look at them, when I look at people from different cultures, when I communicate with them, that gives me more inspiration than going through galleries, for example. And what about you? Is there anything specific that inspires you?
I'm a huge geek, so
Mhm.
I'd say I really enjoy combining different medias that I consume, whether that be games or movies, and maybe like mash them together. Why not? But in my own style, you know. Um, yeah, about people, I get inspired not in an artistic way, but inspired to like work by people, you know. So when I
Mhm.
see someone achieve stuff, or you, for instance, like going to States, like giving the speech at Adobe conference, uh, yeah, I just enjoy surrounding myself with people who just go out and do stuff. So in that way, yes, very inspired. But for art related projects, mostly like games, movies, cartoons. Yeah.
Community really matters. When you're surrounded by people who are all also trying to do something, they also like life. They have ambitions that always inspires you much more than being surrounded by people who just don't want anything in this life.
Oh, well, I just realized that
Mhm.
my jaws started hurting here. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? It doesn't happen to me usually. And then I was like, I was smiling for the past hour and a half. That's why it hurt.
If you could choose and name just one major benefit of being a 3D artist, what would it be?
One main benefit of being a 3D artist,
Mhm.
I guess, how many doors it opens up for you. It's such a versatile profession, you know. If you are a baker, you bake cakes, you can bake it for birthdays or weddings or yeah, I don't know what else. But with 3D, it's like you can be a games artist, you can be animation artist, you can work in films, you can work in 3D miniature productions for board games. You can work in architecture if you're leaning towards that area, why not? And it's just to name a few, you know? So it's like a very versatile profession that I don't see dying out anytime soon, even with the whole rise of AI, the number of messages that I get, and I'm sure you get as well in your DMs. Should I get into the industry where I'm not sure if AI is gonna take away all of our jobs? No,
No, it will
no.
not. And the last question, I'm pretty sure that there are people who are watching us, are those who are, some of them are those who are starting their career, and um, they need just several inspiring words from you, how not to give up, how to continue learning 3D, and thinking about that in future it will work out. Can you say several inspirational words?
I actually have a quote um, by one of the politicians. I'm not gonna remember who said it, but it's a good one. And I use it in my day-to-day life at work. If you were to task me with cutting down a tree in 8 hours, I would spend 7 hours polishing the axe and 1 hour cutting it. So the quote is about how much time you should spend preparing for doing something and doing your research, doing all of your like preparation work, which truly applies to every single project that I do, is gathering references, gathering all of the tutorials, all of the articles that might help me, just pulling everything together. So in the middle of the project, I don't get this like blank moment when I'm like, oh, what am I doing next? You know, it really helps because it can be intimidating when you start out and there are like a gazillion things to learn. And if you start doing it one by one, you might never finish. You might never finish the project, you know, if you only research what ZBrush is, you know, and you need to do retopology and animation and rigging and God knows what else, you know. So that's a good quote, I think.
I have goosebumps to tell the truth. Because this is just fantastic. I've run out of questions, and
uh,
I want to say a big thank you to you for this amazing conversation. It was even better than I expected. And thank you for being so open and sharing your knowledge, your thoughts, your opinion, your life with me, with us. And I wish you like to achieve all your goals which you have in life, to win any other competition which you're going to take part, and just to be
Thank you.
absolutely happy in this life.
Oh, it's really nice to hear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's still like I don't think I'm fully comprehending what's happening right now. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm just having a chat with Anya, and then I'll see this video later down the
Yeah,
line with my face
yeah.
on it. And I'm like, wow, we actually had an interview because it felt more like a really nice chat, and I really enjoyed our time together. And I hope you who are listening right now also enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you so much.